And welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
And today we're talking about D23 and the news relating to 100 years of Disney.
3, 2, 1, action. All right, before we get into this episode, we want to give credit where credit's due. Deadline.com made a list of all of these announcements, and we're getting some of our information from them to help us keep track of what is what.
We owe our thanks to Patrick Hypes and Eric Peterson, who put all the information in an easily organized format for us to go through. We did also watch many of the clips from D23 for our information, but they helped us out a lot by doing this.
Yeah, they just made a list. And again, they didn't make this specifically for us. We found this and thought they did a good job. So go check out their article.
Yep, deadline.com. Let's get into the show.
Let's go.
Today,
wait. We didn't dance. That's kind of our thing.
Now we're dancing. We remembered.
All right.
You remembered.
Here we go.
Aaron, today we are talking about D23, the expo that announced all kinds of new details for Disney. I believe this is a biennial event, so we only get to see this once every 2 years. So we've got all kinds of news to discuss, movies, TV shows, and this is a really exciting time because Disney's hitting their 100-year anniversary of being a studio and producing all this content.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they know what they're doing. They're hugely successful, so it takes a lot to make it 100 years in the entertainment business. But we've got an exciting lineup to discuss today. So we're going to be starting with live action projects, and we're going to be starting with their heavyweight hitters, Marvel. So Aaron, why don't you take us right into it? Tell us about what they got coming up.
All right, so we're going to go through and kind of mention everything that they talked about, but we won't go in depth about all of it. Some of this stuff we've already talked about in other episodes, especially for the Marvel stuff. But they announced Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Captain America, New World Order, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts. I'm excited for all of these, actually, for different reasons. Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's going to be cool to see the bad guy come back, Kang the Conqueror. Black Panther, obviously, that one's highly anticipated. The trailer that dropped looked really cool and kind of left a lot of mystery of where they're going to go with the direction of handling who's taking the mantle of Black Panther.
While we're brushing over that, who do you think is taking the mantle?
I want to be surprised. I don't know.
I'm hoping it's Shuri. I know that she takes the mantle at some points in the comic, and I love her character, so I'd like to see her more on screen.
Yeah, I liked her too. Captain America, it's going to be cool to see Falcon kind of replace Captain America and take the mantle. How do you think that one's going to go?
It was personally one of my favorite Disney Plus series and got me excited for it.
It was one of your favorites.
I'm not the biggest Falcon fan. I like that he chose not to take the serum as a moral stance, but I would love to see the person in the Captain America role have the super soldier serum. But I'm excited to see what they do. Anthony Mackie's been growing on me.
What's the moral obligations to not take it, though?
I don't know. I guess it's seen as like human experimentation. Cap kind of views it as he only did it to himself because it was a time of war. And so it's kind of dangerous human experimentation. We see what it does to Walker, U.S. agent. We see how it changes his personality because it amplifies everything in you. Luckily,
and Banner.
Didn't
go well for him.
Luckily, Steve Rogers is such a good person that when it amplified everything in him, it just made him more of what he already was.
Yeah, good points. Fantastic Four, we still don't really know much about that.
Yeah, at least we got the date. So it's supposed to hit theaters November 8th, 2024. And I believe Marvel's been pretty true to their release dates, which the same can't be said for DC. But so we're expecting to see it 2024, about 2 years from now, which we'll be so excited to get a new team in the MCU. I mean, the Fantastic Four is such an awesome team. I was hoping for casting announcements, but it'll be exciting.
We did get a director announcement, Matt Shakman. He directed WandaVision and got nominated for an Emmy for Best Director.
Which I think he deserved for... I mean, WandaVision is incredibly cool and stylized. I mean, they did something really unique when they were going through the decades in that show. It was super fun,
Yeah, it was an interesting show.
visually stunning for sure.
And it kicked off their Disney Plus adventure. Like without that show, who knows how successful it would be. I'm sure they would have made it through, but it was definitely a strong start.
Yeah, it instilled a lot of faith, and now we'll talk about it soon, but we have a huge lineup of Disney Plus series and movies that Disney is going all in on their platform, Disney Plus.
They are. And then last thing that was announced for Marvel was Thunderbolts. We got the cast of the Thunderbolts and who's going to be in it. Andrew, who's the lineup for Thunderbolts?
So the lineup has Abomination.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't have Abomination. I'm sorry. The lineup has the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
It has U.S. Agent, and it has a third Super Soldier. It has Red Guardian.
Yep.
And then we have Yelena from Black Widow. We have Taskmaster, and who else am I missing?
The one lady that kind of tied them all together that was like in Captain America.
She's their Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name? 1 second here.
But while Aaron's looking into that name, I'm excited to see that this team come together. I mean, we've got a bunch of great actors on screen. David Arbor is Red Guardian. We got Julia Louis-Dreyfus as their leader of the Thunderbolts, as the one who's bringing them together. Wyatt Russell is U.S. Agent, and I didn't know until recently that that's Kurt Russell's son, but that
I knew that.
That's really cool. Florence Pugh, who's really hot in media right now. She's really
she's got a lot of drama going on right now.
She is Yelena. Everyone loves her. Sebastian Stan, we get to see come in and reprise Winter Soldier. Everyone loves Winter Soldier. This is a really interesting team. I mean, like you were saying, in the comics, they're a little bit different. The original team isn't exactly this lineup.
Valentina,
our new Nick Fury, our female Nick Fury. But this is a cool lineup. It's kind of like Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, just as morally ambiguous team of folks that come together and maybe handle some missions that are on the kind of the missions that S.H.I.E.L.D. would have handled, some of that like under the hood missions that get swept behind the curtain.
There's not a variety of powers on this team, but I think they'll manage it well.
Yeah, I think I was hoping that we would see Abomination join the team. He's been really funny in She-Hulk, but we have a good lineup. I mean, we have 2 Black Widows, we have 3 Super Soldiers. It's going to be a powerhouse team for sure.
Yeah, and it's comprised of mostly females, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so that's cool.
Yeah, it's got like quite a few, so it's good to have that representation on the team as well.
Going over to Lucasfilm, they only announced 2, but we got Indiana Jones 5 and Willow. Are you a big Indiana Jones fan?
I mean, I'm a big fan up until maybe The Last Crusade. I think everyone likes Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom. Those are really fun, entertaining movies, and Harrison Ford really at his peak in Hollywood and just in his charismatic abilities. When he was doing those movies in The Fugitive and Air Force One, he was huge. Like, he's one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And this, to me, is like his
this is his baby.
Big punch character. Yeah.
He was getting emotional on stage when he was talking about this.
Yeah.
And then whenever he's being interviewed about Star Wars, like, what'd you think of it? And he's like, were you excited to be back? And he's like, I was there to get a paycheck. So there's a big difference between Indiana Jones and Star Wars for him in terms of what he likes.
He's a really funny guy. When he says that, I don't take it as like, oh, I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, but I take it as like, he's just this kind of funny personality where he's willing to say what maybe other actors wouldn't say is, of course they're there for a paycheck. I mean, they're not showing up to the set for free, but it's just a funny thought. Like,
it's not his passion.
And back in the day, there's really cool behind the scenes information for that, where he was frozen at the end of Empire Strikes Back because his contract was only for 2 movies and he wasn't sure if he was going to come back for Return of the Jedi. So the check there is, I think, also what made him come back and do the 3rd movie.
Yeah, both of these franchises were like kind of peaking and getting very popular at the same time.
Yeah, that's right when Indiana Jones started. So he had his own series where he was going to be the lead now, where he's Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill's the lead of the Star Wars franchise. But so great that he came back and he's a legend in the business. So I'm sure Indiana Jones 5 will be interesting, but Kingdom of the Crystal Skull didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, we'll watch it. You know, I'll watch it. Moving on to 20th Century Fox, which is now part of Disney. What do we got?
So in 20th Century Fox,
This one's a big one.
the big one we have to talk about is Avatar: Way of the Water, a highly anticipated James Cameron film. We got to see some new footage at D23 that just looks stunning. They do amazing groundbreaking work in the special effects department when they do these movies, and James Cameron spends years meticulously making these movies, and I'm sure this one's raking in $1 to $2 billion through its longevity in the theaters. It is extremely anticipated movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
We're gonna cover that episode too. We're gonna have
Definitely.
to watch that when it comes out.
I just watched Avatar a few weeks ago, and it was good and holds up really well for today, even with the progress and visual effects have made even over the last decade.
And the release date for that is set to December 16th of this year, so just a couple months.
Yeah, it's like right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And then we're going into Disney live action.
So in Disney live action, we have a few titles that I'm going to run through here. And I won't go too far in depth into these. I'm interested in these, but I want to spend more time talking about some things I'm a little bit more excited about and are more in line with my interests. So
yeah, sounds fair. It is our show,
podcast.
You know, we can talk about what we want.
No offense to anyone who's very excited for these movies. It's awesome that they're doing these. So they have Mufasa, the Lion King, coming out. The story of Mufasa's rise to prominence. It's going to be released in 2024. From what I understand, it's going to show him coming kind of from the bottom, that he wasn't born into royalty, but his rise into his position, leading the Pride and leading the Pride Land. And then we're going to have The Little Mermaid, which has a lot of talk about it right now. I think that there's people that are upset about their deviation from the source material, which she's a mythical animated character. So I think that it's great for Disney to continue to add diversity to their roster, and I think that the actress Halle Bailey is an incredible singer, and I'll be excited to hear the quality of music that comes out when this is released in the summer of 2023.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of The Lion King growing up. Lions are one of my favorite animals, probably my favorite animal. So the first Lion King that came out for the live action back in, I believe, 2018. Yeah, 2019, directed by Jon Favreau. I watched that, and that was the only live action Disney remake that I've seen, I'm pretty sure.
I think Aladdin was a lot of fun. These movies are entertaining. Sometimes I question why Disney has the need to go in and do live action versions of their existing titles when I think they could spend time coming up with new creative projects.
It's got to be hard, though, coming up with new stories. You know, like so many companies and creators and stuff are coming out with new stories and projects and stuff. Like, it's got to be hard to come up with like an original story, you know?
It is.
So like it makes sense that they would want to kind of capitalize on something that was popular like decades ago and bring it back and maybe inspire like the next generation to get into these.
Yeah. It's also a surefire bet for studios when they know that there's an established fan base and they know these movies will make hundreds of millions of dollars when they...
Right, because you're kind of targeting two fan bases with like something like this,
Yeah.
because you're targeting the nostalgia aspect of the people who grew up with it and then their kids, you know?
It's an easy movie to take your kids to see in theaters because you grew up with The Lion King and then you're taking your kids to now enjoy something that you enjoyed.
Yeah, Mufasa has a different director, Barry Jenkins, instead. So I wonder how that'll go. I feel like movies that are kind of in the same franchise that have different directors can kind of be a hit or miss, you know? Because one's obviously created and stylized one way while the other might have a different view on things. So there might be a disconnect, but sometimes that works really well. So yeah, we'll see.
And these movies definitely seem like they'll be released in theaters. And, you know, as they've been doing in their trend, they'll go a month or two and put it out on Disney Plus. Seems for this case. But I'll head us back into Disney Plus, talking about some of the Disney Plus 20th Century Fox projects that are going to be coming out straight to the platform. We have Hocus Pocus 2 coming out, which I have never fully finished Hocus Pocus 1. I know that I'm going to get burned alive for saying that,
Shame
but
on you.
hey, I'm more of a Halloween Town guy, which I think is okay. But Hocus Pocus 2, they released a new trailer and it should be coming to Disney Plus on September 30th. So, right in time for spooky season, that should be a lot of fun. And then Disenchanted, I'm more excited for. Me and my fiance both really enjoy the first Enchanted with Amy Adams. Kind of this really interesting story where they blend the animated world of Disney with the live action world of Disney and they cross over from one to the other. The animation, I think, looks really great. And they're doing it as part of the story to a live action movie. So it's incredible the level of detail they put into it. And then they have amazing actors, which it looks like Patrick Dempsey's returning, Amy Adams is returning. So this should be a whole lot of fun for audiences. And then we have Peter Pan and Wendy, which is coming to Disney Plus in 2023. I don't know a whole lot about that. I know the title was changed to include Wendy's name in order to show that she's going to be playing a more prominent role in the story. That I mean, the story has always kind of been Peter Pan and Wendy, but that representation of her name in the title, I think, is a big deal. Kind of like adding the Wasp to Ant-Man and the Wasp is just, we've had a lot of time for male characters. So this is cool to add to Disney Plus. Peter Pan's been told and retold a lot of times, so I'll be interested to see what they change. But let's get into these animated films that are coming out. I am super, super excited to talk about Pixar projects.
Yeah, what do we got?
I've been talking a lot, but I kind of want to take this one over.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
I love Pixar projects. They make some of the best movies. I mean, their lineup is stellar. They're beautiful animation from Pixar. I mean, the new stuff they have coming out is super exciting. But I just want to go over some of Pixar's credits of their great movies because I think some people don't know what's Pixar and what's Disney. But Pixar's got things like Monsters Inc., The Incredibles, Toy Story. It's got Cars. It's got Wreck-It Ralph, some of my favorite animated movies. And they've got Inside Out. They've got all kinds of great emotional movies with incredible animation. So let's get into what they're going to be showing us at D23, or what they did show us. So the first thing I'll talk about is Elemental. Elemental is this really cool new original story Pixar is doing. It's a story of Amber and Wade. Amber is a fire element, and she's a woman, and Wade is the chill, cool, relaxed water element. And the story is their relationship and the difficulty that they have. They find out all the things they have in common despite being opposite opposing elements. But we see in the new cover art they released of their hands just almost touching, the metaphor for these two characters that are developing a relationship but can't even touch one another because they're complete opposing elements. So it's the story of this challenging relationship in a big hustle and bustle of a large city. The creator said it was inspired by his parents' relationship when they came over as immigrants into America and came to live in New York. So that's a very interesting story. We don't know too much about it yet, but we know Amber has this fiery personality. She's strong, but sometimes her strong will can lead to hard-headedness. And we know that Wade is kind of chill and relaxed, but he's also, as water, he's transparent. So he kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve. So,
all right, you sold me. I want to watch it.
Right? It sounds great. And you should see the animation too, because they specifically said they want Amber to look like she's made of fire and not on fire. And they want Wade to be transparent and cool and flowing, so water actually drips off him as he moves. So we know Pixar is going to come in and hit heavy. I mean, Pixar is just kicking ass with these titles. They have me drawn in with everything. So we have Elio. Elio is going to be... Oh, wait. Before I move on from Elemental, I believe we might have an expected date. June 16th. June 16th is what we're looking at. So presumably 2023, June 16th. I'm super excited to watch that. The title card looks beautiful, the artwork they did for it. And then I'm going to jump into Elio. So Elio is a new Pixar feature. It's about an 11-year-old kid who accidentally steps through an interdimensional portal and becomes an ambassador for Earth. This is set to come out in spring of 2024 and should lead to all kinds of interesting sci-fi adventures. That is going to be very well animated, we know from Pixar. I'm excited for that. But a big one that I wanted to talk about was Inside Out 2. I was so excited to see Amy Poehler step out on stage and reveal Inside Out 2 and talk about some details that I love the first movie.
The
Inside
first
Out.
one was so good.
I love a movie that can make me cry.
Yeah.
And Inside Out 1 made me cry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so emotional
I
and
went
well
into it
animated.
too not knowing what to expect. Like I watched it at my grandma's house when my sisters were over there, and I was just like, "Oh, we're gonna watch a Pixar movie," you know. And like obviously Pixar movies are really good, so I was expecting it to be good, but I didn't expect it to have that emotional weight to it.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
so like
yeah,
it caught me by surprise. I was like,
yeah.
"Don't look at me! Don't look at
It's
me!"
a movie about emotions that touches you and hits on your emotions. Like
Yeah,
they hit the nail on the head. If they didn't do that, they would have been a huge missed opportunity. So
yeah.
that really makes you feel like you laugh and you get excited and you have fear. You have all the emotions of the characters in the story.
And I feel like I say core memory a lot
Yeah, Tiffany says that a lot. That's
now.
somebody that I work with, my friend. But make sure I say that.
Acquaintance,
So
friend.
she is like the person I know who says core memory the most. So that's definitely become a saying in society from this movie. But Amy Poehler let slip a couple details on purpose for this that I'm super excited for. She's going to be reprising her role as Joy. There's a new director, but we're going to have the original writer. I believe the new director's
Okay.
name is Kelsey Mann. The story's still going to take place in Riley's head. But what I'm really excited for is that she's going to be a teenager and there's going to be new emotions. So the story is touching on how our emotions diversify and develop as we get older,
That's really cool.
especially in the teenage years where you're just a mess of emotions.
Yeah, I
So
don't
there's-
even know what emotions I had when I was a teenager, so I'm excited for this movie to teach me.
Yeah, to remind us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've all as adults been teenagers, so they have plenty of emotional backdrop to draw on, and I think that they'll tell a really exciting story. This is coming out in the summer of 2024. Yeah, I
That's a
wrote
while away.
2022, but I was like, I know that's wrong. That's in the past. But I'm so excited. I wish we didn't have to wait so long to see this movie, but I love Amy Poehler, and I think that the first one's great. So we're going to see an awesome story out of Pixar. And then we have Strange World, which looks to be a whole big world of interesting characters and animals and creatures. That is going to be coming out in November 23rd and coming to theaters. And then the last thing we have on here to discuss is Wish. That's the next original feature film that is coming out on fall of 2023. Wish looks really interesting. I think that it kind of ties into the wishing star that we've seen on Disney for the last 100 years,
Mhm.
and that we see prominently throughout the stories. So this is kind of their project harkening back to the fact that they have 100 years now as a studio. So it's a really cool culmination for them, and I'm sure they're excited. Do you have anything about Wish, or do you want me to lead you into?
No, I think we should move on since we got a lot left to talk about.
Plenty of stuff. So the next thing we're going to talk about is their television series. And under television, these are all Marvel television shows. So these are all going to be coming out to Disney Plus. Aaron, what do we got?
Here we go. So we got Ironheart, Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, Loki, Echo, Daredevil Born Again, Werewolf by Night.
And we kind of touch on these in depth more in our Marvel Phase 5 video. If you want to head back and watch that, then you can get some more in-depth details, but we can really quick here talk about what Aaron's most excited about.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this since we've already talked about a lot of these, but I do want to say the Secret Invasion trailer did look pretty cool. It got me more excited about it than I was before. So I would encourage all of you guys listening or watching to go check out that trailer. It intrigued me. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, I'm also really excited for Echo and Ironheart to see some more female-led stories in the MCU. It's great that we're moving into that world, and I'm very excited for Daredevil Born Again, but nervous. People know that have listened to other episodes know we're huge fans of Daredevil. Go back.
Charlie Cox was talking about the slapstick Daredevil in comics.
He had some interesting stuff to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was saying that like maybe in the 18 episodes, you know, there's some opportunity to kind of play with a lighthearted Daredevil, but it seems like he wants to stay true to the source material of the original 3 seasons. I don't know. I feel like he's such a big fan that he's not going to let it be bad, you know?
Yeah, I think that if he has any say in it, it'll stay somewhat true to the source material, and it makes sense what he's saying to include some of the brevity in there to match. You want to match the tone of this big world that you're in, but also staying true, like half and half, staying true to the character and their tone. And Daredevil has some like darker themes, like we see in the Netflix show of his like you know, Catholicism and his guilt relating to the violence that he has to indulge in as a
Not only does it
superhero.
have darker themes, but it also has fantastic fight scenes.
Yeah, fantastic
Like,
representations of violence.
yeah, so like better than most movies,
Yeah.
let alone a TV show. So I hope that they stay true to that and that we don't see a lot of the Moon Knight kind of fight scenes
Hmm.
where they kind of flash away from it, or like when you see it, like it's maybe some of the punches don't land as hard as like you'd want them to.
Hmm.
So I
Well,
hope they stay true to the action portion of Daredevil.
yeah, we get to see that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be reprising his role as Kingpin, and we get to see that Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil. That's all I need to know. I'm signed up. I'm sat in my seat, and production won't even begin until 2023, so we don't have a release date. But we got something I think good coming towards us because they'll I think balance the tone hopefully, but we'll reserve judgment until a later day.
All right, that brings us to Lucasfilms. Andrew, what do we got from them?
Lucasfilms has some stuff that I'm excited to talk about. They have Andor. They released a final trailer for their Disney Plus series starring Diego Luna. He'll be returning
It
as
looked pretty good.
yeah, he'll be returning as Cassian, which I'm really excited to see. I really enjoy Rogue One. It's possibly my favorite Star Wars franchise film, right there next to Empire Strikes Back. And I think that this will be really excited. I'm excited for us to cover this one on the show as well. And it's going to be premiering on Disney Plus on September 21st.
Yeah, I'd consider myself like a casual Star Wars fan.
Oh,
You
I'm
know?
definitely casual along the spectrum of Star Wars fans because the
Yeah.
spectrum goes all the way to reading all the lore and reading all the books.
Yeah, and the TV shows.
I haven't even watched the Clone Wars, so
I've tried every time. It's just there's so many.
Mhm.
Like they're good. The episodes that I've seen, they're good, but there's just so many.
Yeah.
And I just kind of forget about it. You know. Then we have the Mandalorian as well, season 3, which feels like 4 because Boba Fett was basically Mandalorian show. But we have season 3 of that, so that'd be good.
Always
That
excited to see Pedro Pascal come back.
yeah, that show kind of kicked off Star Wars live action shows. So it's good to see that one. We have Star Wars Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi
Both
coming out.
animated series coming out on Disney Plus, so pretty exciting for them to expand their animated lineup. The Star Wars universe is growing and making Disney billions alongside the MCU, so
For sure.
I'm sure we'll keep getting more content there. And then after that, we have some Disney Plus content that is coming out in terms of TV shows that are Disney projects. Do you want to start with the first one?
Yeah, American Born Chinese. And we got Big Shot. How do you say this one?
Iwaju, I believe.
Iwaju. The Muppets Mayhem, National Treasure, Edge of History. I'm pretty excited for that one. I remember watching this with my dad, like the movies, and he really enjoyed them, which means I really enjoyed them growing up.
Mhm.
I remember watching them in the garage on our little itty bitty TV as we were working out one day. But I really like adventure and kind of treasure movies and shows, so I'm excited to see that. I wonder if I've heard rumors about Nicolas Cage possibly being involved with future National Treasure projects. I wonder if any of those will hold weight and actually be true or not.
So there, from what I can tell, it's saying that he wouldn't be connected with the National Treasure TV series, but that a script for National Treasure 3 has been sent to Nick Cage and is awaiting his approval. And this is said by Jerry Bruckheimer, who produced the original movies, which I loved the first two National Treasure
Yeah,
movies.
they're great.
Yeah, they're very like classic adventure fun. Like
Yeah,
your good time at the theater, I think.
yeah. What else do we got?
So, right after National Treasure Edge of History, we have Prom Pact, The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, Season 2, The Santa Clauses, which will star Tim Allen. We have Win or Lose, which is really interesting. We have and Zootopia Plus. So, I would like to talk about Win or Lose and Iwaju here briefly. So, Iwaju, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correct because I'm saying it a lot,
Yeah.
is really cool because Disney is partnering with a smaller studio that is out of Africa. So they're partnering with this with this studio, which is really incredible. It's the first time Disney's done anything like this, and I think it'll really connect them to the culture because this show is taking place, I believe, in some kind of future alternate reality type space where it's in Africa and there's all this advanced technology that's futuristic. So connecting with the African culture for a show that takes place in Africa is a big step for Disney, and interesting to see them partnering with another studio and giving that studio the chance to have a voice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then we have the other one I wanted to talk about was Win or Lose, which Win or Lose is an animated series from Pixar. Like I said, Pixar is out here hitting home runs. So Win or Lose is about a baseball team, and Will Forte is signed on as the coach. If you don't know who Will Forte is, he is from Saturday Night Live, and he is hilarious. He's in a host of other projects, and I really enjoy Will Forte. He is a really funny guy. So Win or Lose follows a baseball team, and I believe it's in a week of their big game, and every episode takes place from the perspective of a different character and kind of gives us an interesting eye-opening point of view on how the world is different from different perspectives. I don't know about you, but I think about this randomly sometimes where I'm driving in the car and I just think, look at all these other cars on the road full of different people living their own lives. They're all driving somewhere, work or school or home, and we all just have our own perspective. We all just have our own life. So I think this kind of opens our eyes and kids' eyes to that idea too, that there's a world beyond them when you see a story that doesn't just follow the main character. And then it all culminates at where they all come together at the big game at the end of the story. Sounds super interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited for Zootopia Plus.
Yeah.
I didn't look in too much of it. I would expect it to have been a movie though, rather than a show. So I'm curious of how the direction with that is going to go. But I loved watching the first one. I had a great time. My wife and I actually watched it on one of our date nights, and we were just like, hey, we're going to put something on in the background, as we have dinner and talk and stuff. We didn't say a word to each other.
Yeah.
We were just focused on the movie 100%. And then there's like a little twist in the movie, and we're like, oh my gosh, what? Oh no.
Isn't it funny how you go into like movies like Inside Out and Zootopia, and you're like, I'm gonna watch a fun, entertaining movie while I eat dinner, an animated kids movie, and then it's like a metaphor for racism and this deep story about your emotions as a child, and I mean that in like the best way. It surprises you with how advanced it is, and how it really makes you think.
Pixar is really good at appealing to both audience types, the adults and the kids, But yeah, Zootopia is the movie that I always say I wish I could watch for the first time again.
Oh yeah, and that's high praise. I feel like if anyone knows what I think about that question, something you could watch again for the first time.
What would be another movie that you would want to watch for the first time?
I mean, Avengers Endgame is a big one because I could see Cap wielding the hammer again for the first time and fly in my seat. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But these are awesome projects. Zootopia Plus seems like it's going to be kind of an anthology series following some of the characters we saw in the movies. We see the kind of bunnies, Officer Judy Hopps' parents, I believe. Seems like it's going to tell a story from their town. It's going to tell a story of the weasel, or not sure what animal he is, but the one who they run through the little mouse city when he's stealing. He's going to have a story in there. And then also, the cool thing seems like they're parodying real life TV shows and stories. The one, I think they're going to parody Real Housewives with the little rat story, the woman who was getting married in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like a whole lot of fun. And then maybe we'll get a Zootopia 2 out of it eventually if this is popular.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Last thing that I have to discuss is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the books here on Aaron's desk. The series is something that I grew up reading. I read the 5 Percy Jackson books when I was a wee lad when I was in school, and I love those stories. I was so into them, so excited when the movies came out. I know there's a lot of complaints with the live action movies. I enjoy them, and I think that they're fun. I mean, if you can go to the theater and I guess get over the fact that Annabeth isn't blonde, I feel like they're good movies. I mean, small details are different, but you got to kind of set that stuff aside when a project's being translated into a film. And in this story,
this TV show, it really seems incredible. I mean, Walker Scobell is playing Percy Jackson. Leah Jeffries is Annabeth, and Aryan Simhadri is Grover. And these three young actors, I watched some behind the scenes interviews with them, and they seem really great. I mean, they seem mature for their age. They seem mature in general. I don't want to say for their age. Almost sounds like an insult. But they seem mature. They seem interested in the source material. They seem like they understand their characters and like they're having a good time. They have a good relationship with one another. I'm excited to see them portray these characters that I love on the screen. I mean, Walker Scobell came out at the expo and said, I'm going to try to bring Percy Jackson to life for all of us. So he's trying to do justice to this character. And they're a fun group, the three of them.
Is this a show or a movie?
This is going to be a TV series. So it's coming out on Disney Plus as a TV series with the release date not yet disclosed. And they have started filming. We got a teaser trailer at the D23 that just shows a brief clip. And that teaser trailer that they released for Percy Jackson and the Olympians is really cool because if you follow the very first paragraph of the first book, his lines are plucked right out of that.
That's cool.
Isn't that incredible?
That is cool.
They're exact words off the page from Rick Riordan's first book, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which we can assume it's called Percy Jackson and the Olympians instead because they're planning for the series to continue on past the first book and into the other 5. So I hope this is incredibly successful. It's a great big break for these characters. They said they were in school when they got the casting announcement that they were going to be in it. I imagine they're just on top of the world, excited to have these roles. The other thing that I saw in an interview with them was they asked them what was the most interesting thing they learned from getting into their characters. Mm-hmm. And Walker Scobell, who does again play Percy, says that he was most interested in learning, he said, all the sword fighting. So if he's learning a lot of sword fighting, hopefully we're getting a lot of action in this show and some cool shots of a Knuckles or Riptide, which is the name of his pen that turns into a sword. So it should be awesome. I'm super excited. Any reservations I might have had for this show are slowly washing away, seeing how excited the actors are for their characters. Walker seems to understand Percy. He said he described him as kind of witty, hot-headed. I think his quick description of the character hit pretty on the nose. So I'm excited to see what they're all going to bring to the table, and I think that this is going to be a really fun show. It's huge for Disney Plus to pull this, I think. It's got a big fan base.
Yeah, so does that wrap up D23?
Yeah, I mean, that's covering all that we wanted to talk about for D23. I hope that you guys got what you wanted out of it and learned generally most of the stuff that they have coming up, and I hope that you had a good time listening. Let us know if you want to hear any more in-depth on these topics. Let us know if you want us to delve into one of these when they come out and do a full episode.
Yeah, it's always exciting when new projects get announced and it's like, oh man, I get to go watch in theaters or even now at home since Disney Plus is such a high priority for them. And it seems like, because Disney's always put out shows and stuff, but I think the quality of their shows have kind of shifted just from kids into like everyone, which is, it's exciting.
It's exciting that the great thing they do is they can kind of age their content with their viewers. Things like Star Wars that span decades. There's people who were young and saw the original movies in theaters a dozen times. And you can still enjoy it just as much now when some of these people are in their 30s, 40s, and beyond. And I just think that's a great thing that they can make things that they can enjoy and that new kids can come in and enjoy too.
Yeah. All right. I think that wraps up this episode. Again, thank you everyone for watching and listening. We're on YouTube. We got our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social medias, Backseat Directing. Andrew, I had a good episode.
Yeah, this was a good time. I'd like to ask anybody who is especially listened this far to like, follow, and come back for more. I mean, let's have a discussion and talk in the comments, and let's get to know one another.
All right, everyone. That's a wrap. See you in the next one.
Share us with your friends. Bye.